Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of our weekly market review for F45 trading for the week of June 10th to the 14th, which is a Friday. Interesting non-farm numbers coming out last week. As you can see here, the big declines we saw Thursday, big decline, and then Friday, a nice big continuation from last week. At the time of this video, markets are just about to open up for the US dollar. And they've already actually started trading into new day, new week on the euro, and on the cable you can see there. So we're just waiting for the U.S. dollar to open up, which shouldn't be too long. And away we go off for the races again. Now, we've seen this downward momentum here, and one brief retrace back higher, which basically banged off of these lows in here, and then we saw further continuation down. So I have this little area under here at 96.30. I think they could be potentially targeting, and I think we'll probably see that out of the gate fairly soon. Ultimately, it'd be nice to see if they brought this up and then tried to come back down later into the week, and towards the end of the week we finished lower. I got a couple of levels here that I'm paying attention to. 196.15 on the downside, and if we give way on that one, the sort of last area that I'm looking at is 95.85 down here, this big red solid line here. If we go down and start trading through there, then there's a real likely chance that we'll start taking out this low, and that low. And really, we're in sort of uncharted territory here in terms of just sort of what's going on with the U.S. and all of the trade wars and everything else. Now, that could all just be, obviously, indicators that are driving the market that may not necessarily be totally accurate in terms of the fundamentals, but they're doing a pretty good job of dropping the dollar. There's a lot of uncertainty about what the U.S. dollar is going to do, and people are selling it, and they're actually flocking over to bonds. And you can see the bonds have been rallying as of since May of this year. So since all these trade wars really started, the bonds have really been heating up, and you can go and check that out yourself. But as long as this keeps continuing, I believe we're going to see further decline in the U.S. dollar. So unless Trump all of a sudden comes out and tweets something, which he's famous for doing, that saying that we've finally reached a deal with China and all the tariffs are off and everyone's singing Kumbaya again, this is going to probably continue. And I guess you could argue the fact as well, too, that we were making new highs in May here, right sort of at the height of these trade wars. But again, just due to manipulation. And again, the fundamentals aren't necessarily always going to be specifically accurate. It's just they're looking for liquidity. And you can see above here, they ran it, failed, and then now we're dropping. And it's dropping very, very quickly. So this week, I'm looking for further continuation. Really, at the end of the day, though, if this level in here, if we start trading back higher than this level, and I'll put a price tag on it. And I know I apologize, there's a lot going on in the charts right now. It's a little messy, and I don't usually keep my charts this messy, but for this one, you'll have to deal with it because there's a lot of factors to go off of. But 97.15, I think if we start trading higher and close higher on a daily than 97.15, then this could potentially be the low. I don't think it's the low, but just watch this level above. So if we start trading opening in the market up, watch how high it gets. If it goes higher than this, then there's a real good chance we're probably going to make another high, which I don't think is very likely. Again, unless they come to a deal with China and Mexico and all of these trade wars, we're going to see further continuation to the downside. And I'm not expecting them to go much higher. I wouldn't expect them to come and ram all the way back up into the bottoms of these candles again off of this low. I think we'll probably just sort of come up to about the 96.70 level and then probably start to fall off. My first target early in the week is going to be 96.30, and then as we get further down, 96, low 96s is what I'm anticipating, 96.15. I want to see what happens right in here at 96.15. Now, what they could do is they could open up lower and then drop down to that 96.15. I think we're going to see a reaction at this level right in here. And I think that could be, we could see a bounce higher. Again, I don't believe we're going to get above the 97 levels at all, but we could see them run lower to open the week, tag off of the 96.15, and then bounce higher, fill that range back in, and then more than likely continue to the downside. But Again, as long as bonds are trending higher, and as long as there's instability with the uncertainty of what the trade wars are doing and all the tariffs are on, I expect this thing to be pushed lower. So if we're looking lower prices there, we're obviously looking higher prices on euro and cable, and some of the other cross pairs that I'll go through here. We can see here, these were all my levels that I had tagged on the charts from previous month, and the past 4 days from last week, they all got ran. So we ran the 2 equal highs here, we ran these equal highs here on Friday, and we're starting out a little bit lower onto the week. And honestly, again, same sort of narrative as what the US dollar, except in reverse. I'd like to see price come down slightly, tag off of these old highs here. I'd even consider, if they want to start to trade sort of all the way down into this range here, I mean, that's fine too. Wouldn't want to see much lower than that. Don't want to see them come through this area in here and close lower than that. But I'd hope they'd come down, trade lower, and then expand higher. And for the week, I easily think, week, maybe 2 weeks, we got 114.50. I'll put that at as a high side target. Now, just keep in mind, and I didn't really go through it yet, but we do have some news events for the euro. I'm sorry, not news events. We've got some holidays for the euro starting Monday, June 10th. So there probably won't be a lot happening with the euro. I don't expect them to be making a lot of headway this week. More so into the later parts of the week, we'll probably see the euro start to move. But as you can see here, it's going to be all cable news starting out in Monday, Tuesday, and then a lot of core CPI news for the US dollar, which is going to affect all pairs going into Wednesday, and then, of course, Friday of this week as well. So it should be a pretty good week of trading. I didn't do any news just because there isn't a lot. You guys can look at that yourself. Like I say, with the exception of cable. I think they're going to move that one. And again, this guy here was definitely the weaker of the pair, but when you look at the downward momentum of cable versus euro, you can obviously, this was the weaker of the pair. So I'm actually expecting this thing to run pretty good here as soon as the holidays and everything are all done and they're done manipulating cable. I think euro USD is probably going to really start to push higher, and we could be getting above this high, and even into these highs up into here before the end of the month. It could really start moving. One of the main reasons I'm looking at that as well, too, is you've got the Euro GBP, which you see this big uptick in this. I mean, all of the month of May, Euro GBP was running, and we had a brief retrace early in the month to finish off non-farm payroll last week, and then you can see we're starting to run higher again. And I've got this level 89.25 marked out on the charts. I don't believe it's going to be too much of a barrier. We may see a bit of a bounce there and a bit of a rejection, but I honestly believe we're going to continue higher and maybe even try to run up here. We'll worry about that once price gets trading into this range up here. If we start getting up to 89, well, 0.900, big figure, then we'll start looking at these highs here. But until then, I'm going to worry about this one right here, and then we'll go on to there. But this, if this is going to get pulled higher, obviously euro is going to get pulled higher, and they've really been consolidating euro. So I think now it's sort of a euro's time to shine, if you will, or time in the sun. As you can see, they manipulated cable, and certainly there's going to be a lot of manipulation over the next 2 days on cable, and they're probably going to start running this higher as the US dollar is dropping. And once that holiday is all done there for the euro, I think probably starting Tuesday, Wednesday, then we'll start to see euro start to move. So that's sort of what I'm looking at. Higher prices on euro, higher prices on cable. This is my target on the week, 128, we'll call it 65 on the week. I mean, price could go much higher than that, obviously. There's several highs up in here and all along in here we can look at, but for right now I'll be looking at this level here. And we're only about 130 pips away from that. So, I mean, cable can do that easily in one range day. And again, there are GDP news events coming out Monday. So in about 12 hours, a little over 12 hours for the time of this recording. Sorry, that's not right. A little under 12 hours, actually, at the time of this recording. When these GDP meeting minutes and manufacturing production news comes out for the cable. So I would imagine the push will be on. Again, very similar though. I'm going to drop down to an hourly. I'd like to see them. You can see they're opening up here now. They have come down, starting to reject, and they're going to fill this gap in here. I'd honestly like to see them come down a little bit more, but this may be all we get. This could be the low of the week right here, and we could just see this thing start to move. So really just keep an eye on cable, because I think we're going to easily take out this range up in here. And I think it's going to happen probably over the next Monday, for sure Tuesday, with average earning index going into London Open on Tuesday. So we'll talk about that live with our members, of course, and go from there. So US CAD, I want to talk about this real quick. As you can see, big manipulation on US CAD. We hit these highs in here that I've been talking about forever, and we've already moved 330 pips to the downside with a big gap in here to start out the week. So I think further continuation on US CAD, as long as US dollar has fallen off, then I believe we're going to see continuation to the downside on US CAD. So watch for that. And of course, I mean, you can obviously just pick any level you want on US CAD for a downside target. There's a level in here that I like. We've got these lows obviously right here, and then we've got further lows, so right here, right in here, and then back to the consolidation area under here, which we're in right now. I wouldn't be surprised though if we do run back up and and these were just these old lows here that we smashed through last Friday. That was my first target, and we had a big down day on Friday. US CAD had over 100 pip down day on Friday, so of last week for NFPs. So hoping to see further continuation downward on US CAD, and in tandem with what the US dollar is doing, so watch for that. And again, here there's lots of lows in here, so I'll refine this a little bit more, but again, I am predicting more downside. Now again, we could start a little bit higher in the week going into Monday, and then starting to roll over Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then go down. That's certainly in the cards. But again, with so much uncertainty, they just could keep moving this thing straight down. I mean, you look at this protraction down right here. They didn't stop, and this is on the daily. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days straight down off of these highs here, and that was a 400, almost 500 pip momentum swing to the downside. If we get another one of those, then that obviously puts us right underneath this low right here, which is what I was looking at. So that's not totally perfect, but you can see that's from that wick high anyway. That could be the target. And again, that would be easily accomplished pardon me, in a week. So that's sort of what I'm looking at anyway. Further continuation on US CAD. UJ is in an interesting range here. I'm just going to talk about this quickly. Consolidating again. So as US dollar is dropping, this thing, as the US dollar was rising, this was actually dropping and really showing a lot of weakness. And so now US dollar is dropping again. We've seen all last week was consolidating. So I want to see what they want to do this week. Ideally, what I'd really like to see is if they came up into here and then we rejected and continued lower, I'd be looking at this guy here for a low on the downside. Australian dollar is actually a bank holiday on Sunday, so we'll talk about this later with our members, but obviously that could be a target on the week that we're looking for. And then finally, to wrap up, crude oil. We had a big rejection last Wednesday on crude oil, and you can see all of these lows right here that I had marked out on the chart that I was talking about up here and here. That all got ran last week, so target acquired. I think there could be a little bit more to the downside. I really believe, so the low we hit last Thursday came in at $50.58 basically per barrel of oil for crude light. So that target was acquired, and we hit that, and they ran down and rejected nicely, and then we had Thursday and Friday come up. I'm not totally convinced that we're done with the downside. I think they could stretch it under $50, and honestly, if we lose this level right here, then there's a real good chance we could start trading back into the consolidation range in here. So we're just going to have to wait, watch, and see. Certainly, we could see price run up to 56.90. I'd be looking at that on the upside if we do get some momentum running higher, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure yet that this is the low. So stay tuned on crude oil. Again, with all the uncertainty of the U.S. tariffs and the trade wars, oil is going to take a bit of a beating, and if that continues, we could see lower prices on oil. So, but as I said, those lows were going to get run, and you could set your watch to that right off of this big run lower. So, I am an oil bull long term, but obviously, and you can go back to previous videos. I've been talking about this. I talked about it putting the high in here, and I've been talking about all of these lows underneath here for a very long time, and they just ran that. But it's we're not out of it yet, so I want to see what happens when price starts this week up. This market's going to start opening up here pretty quickly, and so we'll see. So again, I'll update all of our members to F45 trading throughout the week on this, but I think there's going to be some real opportunity on crude oil coming pretty soon. So that's everything. I tried to keep it short and sweet for you. I hope you guys all have a great week of trading. If you want to learn some more, if you want to find out more information, join our chat room or get our live market analysis. Join us at f45trading.com. Check us out. Tons of options there for you, whether you're a beginner trader, advanced trader, or you're just looking to join another group of expert traders and talk about the markets. There's something for everybody there. So check us out at f45trading.com. And if not, we will catch you on the next weekly review next Sunday. I hope you guys all have a great week of trading. We'll talk to you then.